And the title here is Why is My Teenager So Angry with Me? A guide for helping youth through depression. And in this paper, I asked a lot of questions at the beginning and asked similar questions at the end. Um, why is my son or my daughter so angry? Why are they so mean to me? Have you ever looked at your adolescent daughter or son, ask this type of question? This is really truly touching the bottom of my heart. In the past a couple years, um, I don't know what happened. Not too long ago, just like yesterday, and particularly my daughter, 13-year-old now, and she was my sunshine, and she was my sweetheart, and all of a sudden, maybe during COVID, we didn't travel much and have vacation time, and and the purpose of my paper is trying to aim at establishing some useful quick guides to help parents or so understanding youth depression. This is a very common issue, and I quote some papers where 20% of youth, or some saying a third, and some saying and 6 million American teens, they all have experienced some anxiety and depression. And two, talking about it and raising the awareness is normal and necessary. Yes, don't just because they're common so you don't talk about them. Or in this case, I came from Asian background, and the Chinese culture or the Asian culture all tell us, well, try to, I guess, don't show your expression, don't get emotional, don't talk about it. It's becoming kind of a burden. Don't be ashamed of sharing this kind of issues with people whom you trust. And from a theological standpoint, this is normal as we all living in a fallen world. We all well, learn through making mistakes. And our youth is growing so fast and they are analyzing so much in their head every day. And it's not easy to be a teen at this age, at this time. So definitely it's normal, and we should encourage them to talk about it and create an atmosphere at home and at your youth group, so children or kids are the youth are willing to share what they feel, and when they have issues, struggles, and they're willing um, to share with you, because we have a culture of transparency and trust. um, and so they feel like, okay, you care about them, right? You so they don't have the fear. um, all right, so teen depression and anxiety are diversified. There's no stereotype of youth depression, as it can be caused by many reasons and manifested in many different ways. Some may be short term, some may be long term, some may be severe, some may be mild and hidden, but can last really long. And don't assume that your experience or your knowledge back then, yourself, you had some depression, you managed it. Don't assume that everybody's the same. Don't assume that you helped somebody or you heard from someone how they dealt with it. That's going to be the solution for this new situation. Um, so, teens and depression and anxiety are terrible. We have to be serious about it. And during COVID, I really feel very sad when I heard some of our mission field back in China reported that they had lost children who, I guess, to suicide. It could be very, very sad and cause severe consequence if we don't catch it early and guide them through that in a proper appropriate way. And we must remember that also that youth depression is treatable, and God provided us with a lot of great ways and a lot of great resources as I studied in preparation for this paper, I learned a lot and found several good books and lots of interviews and the real cases. So healing starts with identifying the causes and finding the root cause. That is the first step. It could be difficult and it could hurt. It could require some openness, but it is very important. We need to go through that step. Encourage them to communicate the physical, spiritual, emotional, mental changes that trigger their depression and anxiety when they identify them. And don't jump to a premature conclusion and offering solutions on how to fix it yet. And I guess here's the table I quoted from Marie. The book is this: why is my teenager feeling like this? Listen to them. Don't try to teach them your experience. Just be available and supportive. That's the most important lesson I learned. Even you think it's already too late, just start from now. It's not too late. And identifying his depression could be painful, require openness. You may find out that they become like that because of you and because something you done inappropriately and didn't pay attention. And don't over accuse yourself. It's never too late. And repent in front of God and try to find the best way to move forward. And avoid language like "I'm so disappointed," and "you're not a Christian anymore," and those kind of criticize. And encourage them that they have already taken a big step on the way to recover. Just because they want to talk to you, they're willing to cooperate and have dialogue with you. Encourage them to get started, taking one step at a time, and try to manage their anxiety and depression. And tell them that many have done the same way, have gone through that process. They're not alone. And tell them that there are so many great resources out there and ways that can help them. So here I give a list of exercise and tips which are very, I would say, useful for me. And I listed some of them here and maybe don't have time to talk each one of them. And I would just give a couple examples. The ocean wave illustration and help the teen to understand this. If you're the parents, and you can definitely share a story like I share with my son to encourage him. And when we first went to the ocean, the wave came. He was like a toddler, like a 2-year-old. He was excited, but until the wave comes so close, he gets scared. And I guess say the lessons learned there is don't fight it, just let it pass through. And when after a couple of waves come and go, he learned that's normal, and then he managed that. And I guess there's several things related here. I mentioned the sandcastle meme, just learn to walk. The roller coaster illustration. If you trust the engineer who designed this, and you understand there may be a moment of scary and uncomfortableness, but keep in mind, God is keeping us protected, and we're in His hand. So this could be some good illustration to help. I use a swimming illustration very successfully with my own children and others. Just try to help them understand when they first learn to swim, and they struggle a lot, and they were afraid. But we even have some funny video of they learning to swim. But now they look back, they understand the gravity and the flotation, and unless you overcome the fear, let flotation kick in by stretching your body straight, and you are gonna float. You're gonna learn that very vividly, and it's very effective. And many people did it. They did it, and just like that, the depression can be managed, and you can learn to overcome that. So I can keep going on these jewelry box versus trash cans, some visualization, imagination techniques. deeper in to find the roots. And also, I mentioned a few things about related to health, like the puberty timing. I read a paper. It's very interesting, like whether early or late puberty timing could trigger more depression or less. Manage diet and exercise. And now here, this focus help them to focus on the moment and do something one at a time, one step at a time. Keep trying. Encourage them, and then go hike with them. And there's lots of lessons learned from hiking. I listed some here. And then use of medication. I summarized a couple papers here. Then family worship. I believe this is the most important thing for our family, learning to continue this dialogue and have faith passed on to our children. Bible reading, prayer, establish routine, and time management tools, problem solving training, and digital detox. This I quoted a book from the Tax Wise family and listed a lot of say items here, 10 commitments that worked for families who want to manage the impact of the digital devices and technology. It's not possible to not use them, but how do we manage them and control them so we don't get controlled by them? Then a big chapter, a big section on communication, parents and youth communication, and how do we do effective correction? How do we use the language appropriately to help them understand, not to tell them what to do? Well, easily said than done, easier said than done. I often fail on this item, and there's lots of things I'm learning. Be patient and consistent. Reassure them that you love them, and tell them that you are a sinner, but God helped you, and ask for their forgiveness. Be a peacemaker like Christ, and appropriate discipline. Sometimes you need to say help them understand. Discipline may help them to wake up and do certain things, make a change. The cultural factor, I mentioned some like Asian parents, Chinese, Korean. I read a paper about it on this particular cultural group and their special needs. Friendship, how to understand use, the importance of friendship in use, and it's growing, it's increasingly important. Comparison, don't compare your children with yourself, with your other family, with cousins and friends and kids from your classmates, from your church. Identify identity, belonging, and purpose. That's that book I showed in that Kindle library. Very interesting and well written. Highly recommended. The three questions are: who am I? Where do I fit? And how can I make a difference? Which is identity, belonging, and purpose. And it is not easy to be a teenager in today's tough time, and they struggle so much, and they're still analyzing and figuring out their way to answer these questions. And so, if we can, as parents and youth leaders, can have empathy, guide them through this time, and help them to understand these questions from a biblical standpoint, theological standpoint, and so that they are, what is their identity, who they are enough because of Jesus. They belong with God's people, and they are invited into God's greater story. So the same questions here at the end. I don't know I answered those questions, but I'm pretty sure that all these resources help us to learn new things every day and trusting God, and don't be freaked out, and keep calm and parenting on.